And welcome to the Dallas Chamber of Community Affairs. Today, our guest is Grace Wesson. She is with the Oregon State Extension Office and Service. And just before we go into the presentation, go ahead and leave that up. We're going to do introductions around the room. You may know most of everybody, but we'll double check and make sure. So introduce who you are and the organization that you're with, and then we'll go into the presentation. So we'll start with Phil Brady.
Good morning. This is Phil Brady. I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland today, staying with some friends. I was in Philadelphia earlier this week for National Association of Counties convention. Good convention, focused on healthcare, some focus on renewable energy, other energy sources, some focus on effects of we're calling it the OBBB, the One Big Beautiful Bill, or OBBBA, effects on that, especially on Medicaid, Medicare, and immigration. I'll be back late Friday night, and be back tomorrow and back to work on Monday. I've been working though. I had a wonderful time. I'm here with friends who were missionaries with us in Venezuela, and we got together with another real Venezuelan night before last, and it was very heartfelt to talk about our lives 15 years ago, from where we lived in Venezuela for 10 years.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Corliss.
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh. I'm with the library, the Senior Center, and Habitat for Humanity. And welcome, Grace.
Thank you, Corliss. Dan Spots.
Good morning, Dan Spots. Currently retired. Looking at a couple of gigs coming up, but right now I'm retired.
Thank you. Dave Peters.
Good morning, Dave Peters, formerly the manager of the Housing Resource Center, now just an employee there. I'm a counselor. I'll be working here through at least probably December. And Grace, I don't know where you got your degree, but my sister worked in the Animal Science Department at Oregon State for about 30 years, but she's probably before you. So.
Thank you. Jacob Anderson.
This is Jacob Anderson, the new Economic Development Officer for the City of the Dalles. Grace, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Scott McKay.
Good morning, everyone. Scott McKay, Community Liaison for Circles of Care for another 6 weeks. And just a comment that it'd be interesting to see if someone could come from the Columbia Gorge ESD to talk about their funding. At Toastmasters, one of the Toastmasters, she works for the Migrant Ed program, and she's not sure it will be having a job, and whether there'll be another Migrant Ed program during the summer in the future because of funding. So that could be a real hardship for the community, especially for the orchardists. And I'd be interested to know if what's the effect on the Migrant Ed programs in the Wasco County. Thank you.
Scott,
Thanks, Scott. I'll reach out.
Yeah.
We'll reach out for that and see what we can do. We have openings this month and even August, so we'll see what we can do to fill those up. And then I know Grace knows me, but I'm Lisa with the Dallas Chamber. We have a lot going on. There's tons of things on our community calendar. Please check them if you are planning events. The last thing that helps a fundraiser is having it on the same night as another big fundraiser. So double check that community calendar to see for your planning purposes, not just things to do. And that is tdcommunitycalendar.com or the Dallas Chamber, and go right to the calendar. We're working on those efforts, and we will introduce to you in a couple weeks our new tourism director. We'll leave it there. I want to get her on board and get her even in our office first before I introduce who she is. So we had a great search, great applicants, and I was very pleased with who applied. So we do have someone coming forward who will start on August 1st, and I am so happy about that. that it's just amazing what we can add to our team in the tourism efforts. And then just so you guys know, we have a ton of networking events, including tonight, Business After Hours in downtown The Dells at Sunflower Vision Care from 5 to 7. She is doing amazing work with vision. It's not just glasses. She's doing rehab and exercises and therapy that is sometimes helping our kids not have to have glasses, and adults. So it's amazing what she is doing. So please come from 5 to 7, duck your head in and meet the team and support one of our small businesses in downtown The Dalles. So there's that. And with that, Grace, I am going to turn it over for you, and let's hear what you have been working on.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to meet and re-meet everybody on this call. There's some familiar faces, so it's nice to see a lot of y'all again, and thank you for showing up so early. My name is Grace Wesson, and I have been an AmeriCorps member with OSU Extension in Hood River and Wasco counties for now the past 2 years, and ending tomorrow, which is exciting and sad. But about half of my work is in air quality and disaster preparedness. So you might have seen me on these calls before, explaining, how families and households can prepare themselves for wildfire smoke. But today I'm here with a different purpose because the other half of my work is in food systems. We run a community garden program, and now we're also working on a food security assessment, or if you've been seeing it around in the news or in our flyers around town, the Gorge Food Access Survey. So yeah, I'm here to share. We now have almost 1,000 responses. So I'm here to share some preliminary results and then just also explain again how people can take the survey and what the project is about. Our goal for the whole process is to create a tool that the community can use to tell our story. So the more that we're able to get out in the community and share what the project is about and share the results as they come in our mind, the more useful it will be. So that's our goal today. So as you can see, this project is a partnership between a lot of different organizations. The food security assessment was designed by an advisory council of the Gorge Grown Food Network, the Health Council, Bridges to Health, ODHS, the Next Door, Columbia Gorge Food Bank, and then also Pacific Source, as well as yours truly and my supervisor at OSU Extension Service. Yeah, so the last food security assessment in the region was done back in 2015, which is now a decade ago. They surveyed almost 2,000 households across our 5-county region, that region being Skamania County, Klickitat County, Hood River County, Wasco County, and Sherman County. And they found that 1 in 3 households worried about running out of food, and 1 in 5 households actually did run out of food. And so that data was particularly striking for the folks working on the assessment, because a lot of typical food security assessments, like through Map the Meal Gap, are estimates based on other measures of social determinants of health. So they kind of create an equation based on the poverty rate and disability prevalence and things like that. But this was a survey that asked people directly about food security and food access. So these numbers were pretty striking because a typical estimate for many regions around Oregon will be around 10 to 20%. And so this was showing that 1 in 3 households worry about running out of food, and 1 in 5 actually did. And so that was striking for people, and it kind of revealed this issue in the community that had previously been kind of invisible. So as a result of that work, the Regional Food Security Coalition was formed, and that was designated as an Oregon Solutions project by the governor, where a lot of different organizations, like those ones that I named at the beginning of the call, We come together quarterly and work on food security in our whole area. Community grant writers, some of you may know Paul Lindbergh and Claire Rawson Wagner. They used this data, that, tagline, 1 in 3 households and 1 in 5, to describe our community and grants that brought in more than $25 million to community programs over the course of the past 10 years. Because this could describe our community in a new way that, say, the community health assessments didn't go that deep into hunger and things like that. And as a result, the regional Veggie RX program expanded. That's a nutrition program where clients can get a fresh produce prescription. New community garden programs formed, community meals, nutrition education programs around the Gorge, and much, much more. So just to give you a sense of the ripple effects of diving deeper into these issues, it's been incredibly impactful in the community over the past 10 years. But it has also been 10 years, and it has been a very eventful 10 years. And so a lot has changed in the community. Our cost of living has increased. The whole landscape of where we get food and how we interact with one another has changed. So we have been working together because it's time to get some new data to tell our stories. It is not as useful anymore for the grant writers to quote a 10-year-old assessment. And if we're basing our funding priorities and program design on information from 10 years ago, that might be outdated. So that is the aim with our new assessment. And here's just written out our goals. We want to dive deeper into food insecurity and hunger in the region, diving into the causes of and potential solutions to it. Programs are most useful if they're very locally tailored and based on what people actually want. So we want to use community voices to design and shape new programs, and make sure that it fits the needs of people in different areas, because we know that we have a lot of variety and diversity across the Gorge. And finally, the hope is that we can bring more resources to food programs. Our food banks are seeing, over the past several years, increased demand. And so we're hoping, if it's appropriate, based on the information from this assessment, that our community grant writers can use the data to bring funding and resources to the relevant community programs. And we want it to be a tool for everyone. Those of us on this call, I know a lot of us are here because we're invested in Wasco County and we're invested in the Dalles, and beyond to our broader Gorge community. So I'm hoping that if it's useful to each of you, that when a report comes out or a one-pager comes out, you can use it to determine what needs need to be met by programs, or what we need to be conscious of in the community. So anyway, long story short, we're hoping by this very extensive process to give something back to the community that everyone can use. So we have information about our survey out in Columbia Community Connection, Columbia Gorge News, and the Goldendale Sentinel, as well as we've had paper copies of the surveys out, hand-fielded by community health workers and at food banks. And we also held 3 focus groups, 2 in the Dalles and 1 in Hood River County and Cascade Locks. So we're really trying to go deep into this issue and hear from people in a variety of ways. Okay, well, this just shows you the ideas and the goal behind the survey again. The diagram for 2015 showed a lot of specific programs that have come out of this, and obviously we don't know what could happen, but we are hoping that this upcoming assessment will have that same kind of cascading ripple effect of benefit for the community. So I wanted to share, since we have almost 1,000 responses from all 5 counties, I wanted to share some of the preliminary results. And there's also a data dashboard that I update every few days. So at the end of the presentation, I can share that in the chat. But so far, of the nearly 1,000 people who have responded, and not every respondent answered each question, so that's why it's 882 here. But of the 882 people who responded to the question, within the past 12 months, we were worried whether our food would run out before we got money to buy more. 47% of respondents worried at least sometimes about running out of food in the past year. And so if you recall from the information that I shared of the 2015 assessment, that's a big increase because the 2015 assessment showed that 1 in 3 households worried at least sometimes about running out of food. So I put a note at the bottom that these are the preliminary results, and we want to hear from as many people as possible to see if this is really the case for our community at large. But in any case, this is a striking number, for me at least, that nearly 1 in 2 households are worried about running out of food within the 2 months that the survey has been open. And for the next question, within the past 12 months, the food we bought just didn't last, and we didn't have money to get more. 39% of people that responded to that question ran out of food at least sometimes during the past year. So again, this is showing an increase from that 1 in 5 in 2015, and we'd like to hear a lot more voices to make sure, but clearly still showing that this is an issue in the community. So I just put that in the same infographic form, that now the data is showing 1 in 2 households are worried and 1 in 3 households actually did. And since we're here at a Dalles Chamber of Commerce meeting, because we live, work, play, are invested in the Dalles for whatever reason brings us to this meeting, I wanted to show what the data is showing for Wasco County specifically. And it's showing that it's higher than the overall food insecurity rate as measured by this particular survey. So I think that my aim with this is just to show you how important this project is and how important continued work on food insecurity and hunger is in our region. Yeah, and so I don't want to linger too long on the heavy parts of this, because I would like to move on to what people can do to help as well. But my main aim is to have you be ready to receive the full report when it comes out, to once we have a fuller understanding of what this looks like in the area. Yeah, Phil.
Thank you, Grace. This is impressive. And I'm wondering, how confident do you feel in the accuracy of the survey? For example, did you collect demographic data? Does that demographic data match the other demographic surveys of our area?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the demographic data that we included was, we asked about the race or ethnicity that people identify with. And obviously not all people responded to those questions or those parts of the survey. We asked about income level, because obviously if we're oversampling a lower income population, then this might be skewed to show higher food insecurity. Gosh, what else did we ask? We asked about household size and age. So that too. But yeah, that's a good question. And obviously there's always the consideration that a lot of people that I've shown the survey to have said, why should I take this survey? I don't worry about food or getting enough food. So I think that's always a consideration, is that people who have food and their food access on their mind are more likely to want to take this kind of survey. So that being said, we have given extra opportunities for potentially more food insecure audiences to take the survey, like flyers at food pantries, but the majority of our outreach has been paid Facebook ads and articles in those 3 newspapers that I was telling you about. So yeah, I would say it's a mix, and there's always the consideration that folks who see a food access survey are more likely to already be thinking about it. That being said, we are following a very similar distribution method to the 2015 assessment, where we disseminated it through some of our community partners, as well as just, those general audience kind of ads like in newspapers and on social media. And since the methodology for those two has been somewhat similar, that leads me to believe that even if this is not representative of the entire community, which I would really want it to be, so that's why we're trying to get it out to as many folks as possible, there is still an increase from 2015. But yeah, that being said, Phil, I would love to look more into our demographics that we've collected, and that will definitely be part of the report so people can gauge just who was actually sampled. And I can actually connect with you directly to share that if you'd like.
That's okay. I'll just wrap up here and go over to Dave. There are ways to, like polls do this often, to reweight. If you could reweight obviously by income levels, and then get a calculated percentages. I'll pass
Yeah,
here.
I'm writing
Liz
that down.
has a
Thank
link
you,
to
Phil.
Liz has a link to the survey in the chat box for everyone.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate that. And it looks like we have Dave Peters and then Jacob Anderson for questions.
Yeah, while you were talking, I went to the OSU Extension, and then Gorge. I just Googled the kind of the name, and it says good Gorge Foods Access Survey open now, and I clicked on it, and the link's not accurate. It doesn't work. It goes to a dead page. So now
Oh
I'm at
dear.
it's from the Hood River side of things. So
Oh,
that on their webpage, I'll put what doesn't work, the page that you click on, and then that way you can at least try to see which one it is. So I'll put that in
oh
the
boy.
notes too.
Okay. I
Okay.
did not know that. Thank you, Dave. Okay, I can ask my supervisor to fix it. She's the one who has access to the
Yeah. So
the river page, but
yeah, so on this page, you take the survey now, it doesn't work. So thanks.
darn.
The,
Okay, they
li-
must have included the wrong link there.
the link in the chat worked for
Yeah.
me.
So the
But
link that you're right, Jacob. The link that Liz put in there does work.
okay.
So grab that
So
one.
another way to do an easy estimate of the biasness is your question number 9 about having heard of these programs and getting food through these programs. Look to see what percentage of people are getting food through SNAP and these other programs versus the percentage of people within the community, and that'll show what your bias is. And so if like 90% of the people that are respondents are using SNAP, but then the percentage of people that are getting it are only 40 or 50%, that'll show where your bias is.
That's a great idea. Thank you, Jacob.
On the survey, Will it be identified? I saw some references to resources. So are you going to be identifying existing and new resources, and what type of resources would those be? Funding or food supply or human resources? What's entailed there?
Do you mean like the ideas for programs and resources that people share on the survey?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to give you examples of what people have identified as potentially wanting through this survey, affordability of food is one of the biggest things that people have been talking about, obviously. Some of the folks who are, a lot of people have talked about food preservation classes, which we used to offer in the Gorge through OSU Extension. But unfortunately, due to lower resources, they then took a pause on the program. So based on information that we're seeing here, potentially that could be something to bring back. Some people have talked about community gardens. So there's some education and giving people access to the tools to control their own food supply. And then also things such as with things that are going on with the federal administration right now, some of the food bank supply has actually been cut because they get some of their food through federal commodities programs. So the idea could be also demonstrating the need for increased food, if that happens to be the case, to those food pantries, changing the way that food pantries are structured. If, say, you know, they might need to be open different hours, or there's ways that the food can be made more accessible for folks. So those are all examples of things, but we'd like to wait and see. And like we've all been saying, you know, check the bias and sampling of the survey before we figure out what resources would need to be allocated where. So that's a good question, Dan. Did that answer it?
It does, especially under the community garden is kind of where I was heading with that one. I'm interested in. I remember hearing that the food banks have had to import basically a lot of their produce from the Willamette Valley. We don't have the local production, which, thinking in terms of sustainability and disaster recovery and things like that, we need to have that. The college has been working for quite some time on an agricultural technology program, and funding, of course, has hit that one. This was part of the nearly a $20 million grant that was withdrawn by the current administration, which has been a setback. But the idea, and maybe something to keep on the radar screen for everybody, is the former Barrett property in Hood River. It's a 40-acre former orchard that has been in limbo for a number of years, with the goal being to turn that in. Well, it is already in public ownership by the Hood River Parks District. Turn that into a large community garden operated jointly by the college and Hood River Valley High School. That's the broad concept, and that could be quite a resource in terms of a regional community garden. Of course, devil's in the details. How do you make it happen? Where do you get the money? Those types of things. But it's out there, and it's a possibility.
Right. I think a great example of using community gardens to supply food banks is the Hood River Fish food bank, which has a community garden right next to it. And so that's a teaching opportunity for some local high school students, volunteering opportunity for master gardeners, who then bring their expertise out to different areas of the community. And then also it provides a considerable amount of food to the food bank itself during the summer. Liz, I know your hand has been up for a while, so I didn't want your hand to get tired.
Oh, it's quite all right. Hi, I'm Dr. Liz Lance. I'm a trained researcher. So that's why I asked the methodology question, because I'm that nerd. But something that came to mind when Dan was asking his question about resources was I clicked through the survey, and that last page seems like a potential missed opportunity to provide links to some of those resources. Like if you're asking someone to do something, you want to be giving them something back in return, in addition to the chance to win $20, $50 gift cards. But that was just something that came to mind. And I really appreciate the work that OSU Extension does. I'm the one that, or one of many, I'd imagine, that tries to get my pressure canner gauges tested every year, and it's tricky. So more funding for you, please. Because people do need to build those skills, and it's just super important. So just a suggestion and a thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. After people submit the survey, there are English and Spanish links to the WAGAP food banks. Oh, thank you, Scott. I'm seeing your note. As well as the English and Spanish links to the Oregon Food Bank. They're like Oregon Food Finder link, which shows you which pantries and community meal sites you can go to. We'd initially tried to include a list of every pantry in the region and their hours, but that turned into like multiple pages long, and then the hours change quite regularly. But
yeah,
there are links. I can't say with certainty after people submit the survey, but I can't say with what certainty people click on them or are accessing them. But yeah, it's a good point, because we do try to give back, and it's a long survey. So
it is a long survey.
Yeah.
But
So
you know,
of
course, first thing is it offered in other languages, which it is, and it's obvious that it is. So yeah, long survey, but if you get through it, it seems valuable. And you're getting a lot of responses. So that's great. But again, to see the bias.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wish I'd pulled up some of the demographic information that we've gotten for the survey. One of the things that I did want to share is that we are looking for a lot more responses from Wasco, Skamania, and Klickitat counties. I think because most of our staff and organizations are based in Hood River, maybe just more people are hearing about it, or they see the logos at the bottom and they're like, I know those organizations. So who's to say why, but we have 246 responses from Wasco County. So we'd like to see Wasco County more represented, as well as Skamania and Klickitat counties. Especially Skamania County. But yep, to the point that we're talking about, this is it's kind of been a snowball sampling method, rather than, let's say, sending everybody something in the mail, which obviously has its own methodological limitations. Yeah. But because it is snowball sampling, I think this kind of thing does happen.
Grace, the Skamania County Pioneer, has that been on your list for media?
Yeah, I just don't have a contact there is the only problem.
I've got your email. I think I've got the editor's contact there. I'll see if I can track it down.
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be really helpful. But yeah, it's good points. We have gotten, we spent a long time thinking about methodology and the things that might limit us, and it's a good, important consideration. Perhaps if we do have final results that end up being skewed toward food insecure audiences, perhaps we can make a separate report for, say, folks who are SNAP eligible, or sorry, folks who are SNAP recipients versus not SNAP recipients, so that we can get a more holistic picture of the community. Okay. Oh, and Dave, I'm seeing your note about the flyers. Yeah, we have many, many, many flyers. We can get you some. Does it work to just go to the Mid-Columbia Housing Authority, or?
Well, you could, I know I just talked to Sonia, or emailed her while we were in the meeting, and she has got out some, but she realized she hadn't put it up in community rooms and stuff. So if you could get us any version emailed to me, or, that'd be fine, or get it to Lisa and she can get it to me and maybe some other staff, but I'll get it out as much as we can.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Okay. Are there any other thoughts? Just want to make sure, there's a lot of results and a lot that we've talked about already, so I don't want to launch into more without.
Any other questions? Great questions, guys. And Grace, thank you for just, yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So I just included a few of the quotes that people have shared on the survey. A lot of people are also sharing that they're right at that ledge of being, of becoming ineligible for SNAP. And then, you know, that can be limiting for folks. So just a few things. I don't want to linger too much on the heaviness of this, and I want to move on to, you know, ways that we can work together to make sure that this data is useful to folks. So those are some of the themes that have been brought forward. Yeah. And so now, what can people do to help? We talked about this a little bit, but anyone can take the survey. We've been trying to emphasize that it's for anyone, regardless of food security status. And folks can share out survey information and newsletters and social media. And then also, please stay tuned. Like we said, this is all about making something that's useful for people. And it's not useful for people if nobody knows about it. So our plan and our goal, I won't be on staff at that time, but our plan and our goal is to bring this information back out to community meetings, share out one-pagers and reports, and really put it in as many useful forms as possible. Yeah, so again, we're trying to expand the reach. And yeah, so that's the survey information. This is basically the end of my slides. But my main aim here was just to highlight the importance of this issue. The feedback and suggestions are really helpful because a lot of these are things that I can implement before my last day tomorrow. So yeah, I guess I'll end there. Does anyone have any more thoughts?
Real quick, Grace, are these at the chamber? Did you bring us some?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But I could.
Yeah. And I would like it like at least an 8.5 by 11 poster size, because we can put that in the kiosk because everybody stops and reads that. So that with the QR code, most people have a phone. But then we also could have those at the counter and give that out because we have a lot of people, especially right now, we are selling fresh cherries for one of the local orchards.
I saw the sign.
Yes, so we have fresh cherries at the chamber, but we have a lot of people coming in. We've sold several cases of cherries over the last 2 weeks. So this is another way, just as a different person coming in, it's a different crowd. So do you want me just to print this? I can just print this.
Oh,
yeah, I can just print this last slide, actually.
I have a flyer. I have like a flyer PDF that I can send you that might.
Okay, let's do that. And then I can print it and put it in the chamber and we can have it to give out, but we can also put it in the kiosk. So yes.
Thank you. That would be amazing, Lisa. Thank you.
That would be great. Let's do that.
Grace, this is Corliss. Who's going to take your place, or who's going to continue this?
Yeah, so there will not be an AmeriCorps in this position next year because of all of the uncertainty of federal funding. My AmeriCorps program has put a pause. And yeah, OSU Extension has pretty regularly had an AmeriCorps member for a while. So my supervisor will be carrying on a lot of the report sharing and report writing as that comes out. But yeah, it is true because of all of the, everything going on. There will be reduced staff capacity, but I will also be staying on in the office, like the office right next door. So I'm hoping that, it can be a thing that we keep talking about and nudge. And yeah,
well,
it's a good question.
I'm asking for selfishly because I'm always looking for speakers and I would like someone to come and talk about this. So who would I ask?
So that would be Lauren Kramer, and I can put her
Oh, okay.
information in chat.
Talk to Lauren. All right,
Yeah.
great. Thanks.
Thank you, Corliss.
Any other questions? Grace, you covered a lot. That was awesome.
Yep, nice and dense. Nice and dense and data filled. I hope everyone enjoyed that.
So it looks like Dan put some people's contacts and phone numbers in there for people also.
Thank you. Let me write
Yes.
down the Pioneers number there.
One of those might be a fax line. I think 8444 is the best phone number there.
Okay, well, I will call both and I'll leave a message on his fax machine. Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for everything you're doing on this survey.
Yeah, thank you all. And yeah, so we'll be back with detailed information, more detailed information, and hopefully something that we can all use. And thank you for listening to me this morning. I know it's kind of a heavy topic to talk about it at 7 a.m. So I appreciate that. Appreciate your attention.
That's
I
why they
appreciate
invented
also
coffee.
just your participation in AmeriCorps. My wife and daughters were participants in Jesuit Volunteer Corps, very similar, and the influence you bring to a community is all your work, but also the whole organization becomes a part of the culture of the community. We could point to many other AmeriCorps volunteers who've stayed in our community and now are in very vital roles. It's including especially our city manager was the former, what was his job? He was
Main Street
wasn't
Director.
AmeriCorps, but it was
Yeah,
very
he
similar.
was a rare.
A
Yeah,
rare.
I'm a rare.
Volunteer. Yeah.
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 Director of
Yeah.
Mid-Columbia.
It creates a cultural difference.
Oh, well, thank you, Phil. It's very nice.
Yeah.
We're glad you're sticking around.
Oh, yes. They can't get rid of me that easy. I love the Gorge. All right.
My daughter's experience was if she put her volunteer experience on an application, she got in. You are among good company, and so people have every reason to judge you well.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah. I was just looking at some of my notes from some meetings in Philadelphia, and part of the ODDD cuts back on SNAP benefits and other benefits for asylum applications, temporary protected status, special juvenile immigration. So it's SNAP. Medicaid is also cut for those folks, and CHIP and the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits. So that's going to be a direct blow to the affected communities, but then also I know our hospitals and clinics are already experiencing a decrease in patients coming in because people are afraid to come in. So it becomes a financial burden on our health system that we aren't getting the Medicaid people coming into the clinics. And so it's going to be even harder for us to keep our systems running.
Well, thank you again. Is there any other questions? We got a couple of minutes, but you did a great job, Grace. See, that's why we don't have questions anymore. You got them all answered.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I anticipated them all.
You did.
My last thought is that the survey is going to be open until We were originally gonna close it in mid-July, but to hear from more people and make sure that this is truly representative of the population, we're keeping it open until mid-September, most
Oh,
likely.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that we tell
So-
people that.
Yeah, I just wanted to share because some of our flyers that have historically been up around town say July 18th. So let
Oh,
people
okay.
know there's more time, there's more time.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that we let people know when they come in our office.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for listening to me.
Yes, well,
Okay.
thank you. And if you need anything, once you get to that 4-H role, let me know.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's one that's near and dear to my heart. So yes, please let me know if you need some help or any of that. We love our 4-H kids. Those are our future leaders. And then just so you guys know, be watching for next week, because speaking of 4-H and FFA, we'll be doing a request for any auction, the livestock auction that they do every year at Wasco County Fair, which is around the corner. We do a chamber pool so that if you can't afford to go do an animal on your own, you can donate to our pool, and then we'll take all those monies and go out there and make a difference for a few of our students. One year I got to help 3 pigs because there was a shortage because another country had a disease going through. So 3 kids who shouldn't have been able to show because they didn't qualify on the rankings got to. So we got to help 3 underdogs and help them with their pigs. And so it was fun. And then we've done all kinds of other things to support our kids out there. So we'll be putting that information out there next week. And so be watching for that. And then let us know however else we can help support our kids. Grace, I appreciate it. Yes, Phil.
Can I make one more quick announcement?
Yes.
We've extended the deadline for applications to be Gorge Commissioner. We have one candidate, Steve Lawrence, has applied. We've extended that because word didn't get out very broadly. If you're interested in working very hard, I'd asked some people on this screen before, if you're interested, you can talk to me and I'll get you connected. Or if you think of somebody, maybe chat with them a little bit or communicate with me and I'll talk to them. So that's Gorge Commissioner. Right now, well, so applications, probably I've got about a 2-week window to bring in some more applicants.
Okay.
Well, I've got some ideas for you. I'll be emailing you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Can you send me just an overview of what that all entails?
Yes, yeah.
As you hesitate there. Yes.
Yes, I'll work out. Yeah, I'll find something. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll send you.
I'm just
Yeah,
curious. I
thank
have
you.
a couple of people in mind,
Yeah,
but I
if
want
you
exactly.
and you could put it on the bulletin too.
Okay, perfect. I will do that.
I'll do that today.
All right, perfect. We
time.
can get that out in Monday and Wednesdays. Yeah.
Phil, this needs to be a Wasco County resident. That's the appointee that you're looking for.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. Well, since we have no more questions, Grace, thank you once again for being here and congratulations on staying here. We're excited. Can't wait to see you more. But thank you for all your efforts and your work. You've been great. We've had you on here for many different aspects, and we love each one of those are just helping the Gorge be a little bit better. So I appreciate all your work. You have been amazing. And so we appreciate all the presentations and we wish you the best with those littles. They're the funnest. I know they are the funnest. It's the parents you don't want to deal with. But if you need anything, come our way. And same with any of you guys. I am looking for more speakers. So if you think of an idea, please let me know and we will reach out to them as soon as we can to get them scheduled. And then Dan and I will be talking this next week to see how we're going to share this responsibility so that I can be at other meetings at 7 a.m. on Thursdays while he does this one. So
Oh boy.
yeah, because everybody needs those 7 o'clock meetings. You get more done. So with that, everybody don't forget, we have business after hours tonight. We have a wonderful community to support local. And so go out there, find out, rediscover what we have in our community, and be sure to leave a couple dollars while you're there. Anyway, you all take care and have a great week, and please try to stay cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye.